Holo na kalai le hua mo Ua hina kala Ua kulu kala Avena ula kalai Aya ke kapauli o hina Aku no kahikina Ama ema eno ia E ola noa Aloha kākou, Piline mai, ke aloha. We welcome you to our special place, nestled amongst the great mountains, Mauna Kea, Mauna Loa, Hualalai, Haleakala, and Kohala. As we stand here right in the very pico, that spiritual center of these great mountains, in this land, this ili kupono of Kalahuipoa, a place steeped in history, in story, in culture, and the home of Mauna Lani. We welcome you as we come to share stories of the past, songs and hula. As we celebrate this time, as we have entered the holiday season, and as we have celebrated La Ho'omaikai, or Thanksgiving, we hope that everyone got to spend time with their ohana, their families, in a safe way. Hard to socially distance, but we always have to remember we need to malama ourselves and our loved ones and dear friends. We came out with our mask on, but as we are distanced and nobody close at hand except my wife Anna and I, we will share our stories with you before we do put on our mask later on. But you know, as I mentioned, this land is known for its ancient royal fish ponds that we have right behind us. On occasion, we can see the mullet jumping in the air. You can see the fish swimming. And as we come to this time of sunset, Napo'okala, this time of the day, which we call ahi-ahi, is a very solemn time of the day and really the perfect time for storytelling. We like to call this time of the day Anuahiahi, a time of reverence as we enjoy this evening, as we enjoy the setting sun, and as we enjoy each other's company and listening to those things of the past. You know, we want to share with you a song which was written by our kumu, Larry Kimura, as we first visited this land back in the early 70s, about 1972, and just fell in love with the land and the ambience that the family living here, the Kihei family,
Yes,
extended to us.
Abraham and Emily
Yes.
Kihei, the caretakers of these beautiful lands at Kalahuipua'a.
Working around the
Yeah.
fish ponds and picking up coconuts and coconut leaves and, you know, ending the day on the porch as we are now, just with our guitars and ukuleles in hand and a nice cold beverage, and Mama Kihei sharing her stories as she sat on the rocking chair. And it was just a magical moment. And so we want to share that moment with you. And I'm going to grab my ukulele here and share with you this song, Kalahuipua'a, which speaks of this area. And if you ever have an opportunity to come here and stay at our beautiful Mauna Lani,
Big hotel.
Mauna Lani Auberge Resort,
Collection.
yes. And you know, and walk around the property and just enjoy the beauty and the spirit of this place.
Yes, as we reminisce of and share that beautiful song that our Professor Larry Kimura had composed of this, of the experience here, as you spoke of in the early 70s, and as it describes this beautiful land and the sands that were covered brilliantly by these beautiful shells in the shade of the coconut and milo trees, this beautiful land that was carved out amongst these ancient fish ponds in the stretch of amazing black lava.
With shells in it, which he speaks about, those
Yes,
pupu shells in the sand.
shells in the very
And
beginning.
he also speaks about the time that we went out holo holo,
Yes.
fishing one night on the boat, and coming back as the sun would rise
Yes.
upon our time with the big-eyed fish,
The u'u.
the u'u, the
Or menpachi.
upapalu, yeah, you know, a lot of delicious fish which we enjoyed that morning. And just closing as a mahalo to the hospitality that was extended to us
Yes.
here at Kalahuipua'a.
My mama and Papa Kihei.
And so the song Kalahuipua'a. Ho'oki paia na malihini I ka malu o Kalahuipua'a. Lua na valeo I ka ili me ki one vehi I ka pupu.
Uakoi.
Uakoe lihi na loko vai I ka aha ao ia aina. Ulu mahie hie I ka lau milo me ka ulu o ka niu na hoa malu. Let's go holo holo. Holo holo la na hola vaia I ka lana mahali e ana ale kai. Alawa mako avanao song called Kalahui Pua'a in honor of this
Beautiful land.
and sacred and spiritual land.
Yes.
Well, I think I'm going to have a seat and enjoy this moment as we talk story.
I think our
And,
breeze.
Yeah, I think our mash just blew there on the side. But, you know, this time of the year is a time of the year which we call makahiki. Makahiki refers to, of course, to the year. And it's a time that anciently the Hawaiians celebrated the return of the god Lono Ika Makahiki. And Lono is the god of peace and agriculture, as well as a patron of sports. And so this time of the year, the Ali'i Nui, the high chief, would travel around the island with his retinue of people, but they would travel around the island in a clockwise manner, always having the mountains to their right, where their strength comes from, and the sea to their left, where they could send all of their stress and their problems of the world. But as they made this huaka'i, this trip around the island, they would stop off at each community, at each ahu pua'a. And there at the shrine at the ahu, the people of those communities would leave their tributes or their taxes in the form of food or handcrafts or things of value that were known to that particular area. When it was deemed sufficient tribute, then it was considered a time of Noah, a time of when it was free and open, a time of celebration and a time of sports and games. And it was during this time that people would attend and would participate in the many different types of sports, and the Hawaiians had many, many different sports and games in some cases, to prepare the men for battle, to strengthen them, and also a time when the Ali'i Nui would select his warriors, perhaps the champions at the different sports and games. And, sports that tested their strength and their endurance and their akamai, their intelligence as well. And so this is a time of the year that the Hawaiians always look forward to. And it was usually between October and mid-October and up to about mid-February, the time that we normally kind of celebrate our holidays today. But because Lono was a god of peace, this time of the year, it was kapu for any warfare, for any battles. And so no fighting during this time. All hard toil and work was put to the side. And basically it was a time of enjoyment, a time of fun for the Hawaiian people, and the time of the year that everyone looked forward to. And so there's a song that was written that talks about the different districts of this island. And if you traveled around the island, and we would start from Hilo, every district had their own proverbs, their own sayings, and things that they were known for, and the different elements of nature, from the winds, the rains known to these areas, were included in the song. So this song is called Hilo Hanakahi, and a song that honored one of the great chiefs at that time, Hanakahi. And so I'm going to sing this song, and if you know the song wherever you may be, and you know the words of the song, sing along with me. ikaw kanila hilo hilo handakahi ikaw kanila let's go to Puna. Puna paya Allah, ikapaya Allah ikahala. Puna.
Puna.
Puna paya Allah, ikapaya Allah ikahala. Now on to Kau. Kau ikamakani ku ehulepo.
Let's
Kau ikamakani ku ehulepo. Now we want to Kona. Kona ikekai maoki oki. The striped seas of Kona. Kona ikekai maoki oki. Waimea ikaua ki pupu. And I see those ki pupu winds of Waimea now. Waimea ikaua ki pupu. Let's go down to Kawai High. Kawai High, ikikai, Havana, Havana. Those whispering seas, yeah. Kawai High, ikikai, Havana, Havana. Now on to Kohala. Kohala, ikamakani, apa. Kohala, ikamakani, apa. Hamakua inavai lele inapali.
A little variation here.
Hamakua inavai lele inapali. And I'm back onto Hilo. Aina kapuana ikaua kanilehua. Aina kapuana na apana o Hawaii. In honor of our island of Hawaii.
Oh boy, that was quite an experience.
What a trip. Can you imagine walking around the island?
No, I can't. But you know, what's wonderful about this particular song is it speaks of the elements of nature that are so prominent in those particular districts, and I wish I could have done better justice of the hula, but
I think you did okay.
but regardless, we did have fun. You know, it's just wonderful because it really speaks of the way Hawaiians are so connected to their surroundings and to nature, and they're some of the most keenest observers of nature, and honored it in a way where they named each of their winds of the districts or the rains of the districts, and it's just a wonderful way of how you poetically, as they describe in song, when they refer to people from those areas, they would refer to them in the way you by the name of the rains, or the name of the winds, as in Waimea, like you said, the ki pu'u winds and rains
yes.
of Waimea.
And of course in Hilo, which is
my
where
hometown,
you grew up, your hometown,
Hilo, my hometown.
For the ua kanilehua.
The ua kanilehua, the
the-
prolific rains of Hilo
Yes.
that pelt the lehua blossoms.
Yes.
It was something that I grew up with, which you don't see so much anymore. I can remember when more days than not, it was filled with rain.
And of course Puna was known for its
Hala.
like the wall of hala. There was so much hala. There still is, but of course, you know, Tutupeli's been very busy there, and you know, has claimed some of the lands back there. So, you know, much of what we saw when we were very young are no longer there. But you know,
Great
part
memories.
of creation.
Yeah,
Part of
but
creation.
great memories of those
There's a new
areas.
land.
Yes, great memories of the
Yeah.
hala groves.
Yeah.
That the fruit, the fragrance of the hala fruit and the blossoms, the hinano blossoms, was so pervasive and so encompassing that it was like a wall of fragrance that greeted you. And it was even more so, more notable as the rains came into those areas. They would breeze in and breeze out, and with it that scent of the hala,
Yes.
the groves of hala and hala fruit and blossoms of hinano.
Yeah. And you know, and continuing the journey and going into Ka'u, you know, Ka'u, you know, which is a very, very big moku, very big district. You know, you come down, if you're going from the Hilo side and moving down to the southern part of the island through Ka'u district, you know, you find very green areas, you find very dry areas, even the Ka'u desert, but they were known for their winds, the ku'ehulepo, or those winds that
Kick up
stir
the dirt.
up the dirt,
Yeah.
the dust of that area, of that land. Then moving up the coast to the Moku of Kona, the Kona
Kona.
district. You know, when you drive through South Kona and you're high on the highway and you can see the sea, a clear area of sea, try to look at it. You notice that the currents make like streaks on the water, and that's what the Hawaiians call kaima oki oki, the streaked waters of Kona.
Yes, where you can actually see the convergence
Yes.
of the currents out there
Yeah.
at sea.
And it's very clear when you're driving through that side of South
South
Kona, you
Kona.
can see all the streaked seas of Kona. And then moving up, we ventured up to Waimea, to the Waimea, known for its kipu'upu wind and rains. Then we went down to Kauai High, and yes, it was the
Whispering.
Kauai High, known for the whispering seas. I almost was thinking of winds, but it was actually the whispering seas, Kaiha Vanavana.
And
Then
then
moving on to Kohala, which
Kohala.
is we're part of that. We're here in Kalahuipua, we're in the district of Kohala, but in the southern side, in the very dry, almost desert side.
the
of-
Kekaha Waiole lands. Yeah.
Yes, yes. The very dry side of Kohala. But Kohala was known for its apa rains. Yeah. And I believe even the winds were
Apa
you
also.
know, carried that name as well.
Pelting.
Yes.
Just pelting rain.
And then we moved up the coast, the Hamakua coast. And if you drive there, you can look along the coast and you see all those waterfalls. Now Wailele, Inapali.
Yeah.
You know,
There are two
such a
versions,
beautiful sight.
yeah, to that verse, that particular
Well,
verse.
yes, you know, people have different versions, different interpretations, and
One speaks of you spoke, as you sang, was the waters
the waterfalls.
the waterfalls of that area. And in my mind, I was thinking of the other version of the birds, the Kauai birds that fly out over the cliffs.
Kauai.
Yes, they fly out over the cliffs there. And so a good example of variations on the same theme and interpretations and additions.
And what was really fun is that, you know, last year there was a group of us, cultural practitioners, that went with the island of Hawaii.
Yes, Island of Hawaii
Visitors
Bureau.
Bureau. And, you know, a group of us that represented the different resorts along the coast. And it was such a fun trip. We started out, and it was a bus trip from
San Diego.
and went all the way up to Seattle. So along the way, we stopped off at with travel agents, and we took our music and our stories and our hula and songs.
Even some of our
and reservations,
our artisans.
Yes, and we even had food trucks sometimes along the way that had Hawaiian plate lunches. But we wanted them to really feel the spirit of Hawaii. And so we did arts and crafts during the day. We did music and hula, but we also taught them that song, Hilo Hanakahi.
Yes, it was a very friendly competition amongst the different cultural practitioners that were there on this particular trip.
Yes.
And so each of us had our own verse. And it was wonderful to see the interpretations of the different cultural practitioners that are along this coastline with the different resorts. And some of them are musicians, some of them are dancers and chanters. And so, and it was wonderful to see those that we're visiting. We were there in their homelands and sharing our songs, and to see how they embraced that spirit and love for these islands through that song, Hilo Hanakahi. It was great fun. And
so that was a fun trip, and we look forward to a time that we can
travel again.
You know, when
safely.
You know, when everything is safe and everything's good, and you know, we always tell people, please take care of yourselves. Please think of and have respect for others as well. And you know, whenever you're out and about, don't forget to wear your mask. Don't forget about social distancing.
Remember to wash your hands.
Yeah, you know, just those protocols that we need to remember. We've just gone through very interesting and challenging times, but I know we will get through it. But you know, we would always tell, you know, people that this island of Hawaii is a very special island. We always like to call it the healing island.
Yes.
And if any place, this is the place to be.
If you've got to be quarantined, Hawaii is the
place.
place to be quarantined. A lovely, lovely place.
Yes.
And it is. It's very healing. Here on the lands of Kalahuipua'a, we have amazing ponds, natural embayments, local way, that are like little gems along the coastline in this resort. And here you can feel the winds and the spirit
Like we are feeling right
today. These beautiful winds that cool us, and these balmy winds, but also that sense of spirit, sense of place that you feel here. That is, it's very intangible. It's very difficult to describe and explain. You have to be here to experience and feel that warm embrace of spirit of Kalahuipua'a.
Yes, as Anna said, it's true that, you know, we can talk about this area and try to paint a picture for you, but it's not until you come here physically that you actually feel that energy of place, that spirit of place that really resides here. It's hard to explain. but you just have to come and experience it for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, in the early days when we used to come down to this property, there was no Queen Ka'ahumanu Highway. There was just old dirt roads
Well,
to
it
get
was
down here.
not even
and,
that. It was just a crushed coral road
yes.
from Kauai High
and it took
through Spencer
it took
Park.
a while to get to this property here and through several gates, but we drive through Puako and through a property called Paniao, which belonged to
dear
dear
yeah.
friends and family, the Rutto family, and we still have wonderful memories of that. And
As we were sidetracked a bit in arriving
sometimes
here.
we were sidetracked, and it took a little longer than expected. Maybe sometimes even 2 or 3 days
Yes. Remember?
longer than we. Yes.
You remember that time?
I
Yeah, when
do,
Mama
I do.
Kihei-
I barely remember, but I do remember.
A few decades ago, when we finally arrived here, and Mama Kihei looked at us and said, "Oh, I expected you 3 days ago." He says, "Oh, we stopped at Paniao at the Rutto's invitation to have some refreshment," and she said, "Yes, I understand." 3 days
And
later.
it took us 3 days to get here. Anyway, those were wonderful times, but there's a beautiful song that was written for the Rutto family by Helen Deshay Beamer. And, she stayed there with her dear friend Annabelle Rutto, and in an afternoon composed this song called Paniao. And as she went in to dine with them, she had her ukulele and sang this song that we'll share to you. But we want to dedicate this song to
very, very, special
dear
family.
friends and family, the Rutto family, especially Francis and Susie, in this time that they
Just
lost a member of the family,
Yeah,
dear member.
Dear Snickers.
And so we just want to dedicate this song to them. And I know if they were here with us, they'd be singing or dancing along with us, or at least enjoying a cold beverage.
Yes, as they celebrate the love and joy of their family and this beautiful place that they call home, Paniao.
And a song that describes everything that you see here, the mountains, it describes the sea, it describes the view of Maui, it describes the different plants and trees, the coconut trees, the Milo trees,
and don't forget that beautiful bathing pond.
Yes, the
Annabelle.
Wai'ao'ao for Annabelle
O
Rutto.
Nako Lani o Haka.
Yeah.
Aye.
And as well as the beautiful Kohala lands. It's a beautiful song, and we want to share that with you, this song, and dedicate it to Francis, Susie, and the family.
The family,
and
Kavika and
Snickers.
Snickers. Yes. Nani.
Nani Paniao, ikaw ike, kawai ho kahe, ela ikalai.
Helai kalai. Ahuvale.
Awale kamona paki pika, kaulanai kamali. Nana ehi poi de Hawaii, kuone hanau.
Kuone hanau. Kai e holo holo.
Kai e holo holo nei kanalu, ha'i mai ka hapapa. Me ke kai pumehana honi ke kino, hena nea mai ho i kau.
Hina nea mai ho i kau. Aia mamua pono.
Aia mamua pono, mai ana i ke kai. Ke la kua hivina ni o Maui, hale akala hei no.
Hale akala hei no
Mayuka ake kai Ai no ohihia kawahine O no eko
Oi no e ka oi. Naki ahe.
Naki ahe lau makani ho paha mai I kena au I kanani Mauna lo mauna ke hua lalai Naki ai o ka ho
Naki a i o ka home. Kawai au au.
Kawai au au o ka wahine Ai ai ka olu Iawe o ka milo ke ko o ka hau E ka niu haai ke on
Niu haai ke one. Eia ka puana.
Eia ka puana I lohe ia Na ko o lani o hakau E mau ka maika I me ka maluhia Wana ni pani au
Una ni pani au. Eia ka puana.
Heia ka puana I lohe ia Na ko o lani o hakau E mau ka maika I me ka maluhia Wana ni pani au
Una ni pani au.
Wana ni pani au
To you, Susie and Francis and Snickers, aloha.
Our aloha to you.
Thank you.
Mahalo to you. You
It's
know,
so-
that's one of the best parts of a musician is to be able to work alongside with a beautiful hula dancer and especially that kiss or hug.
Yes, that's a reward.
But
that
of
we-
course, we being it safe, playing it safe.
yes, we're a couple. We live in the
couple,
same
so yeah.
household bubble.
So yes, so it's okay. Anyway, in our backyard way up here, there's a very famous pu'u, a hill called Pu'uwawa, and there's a great story and history behind that area, which has a beautiful ranch of Henk and Akemi Rogers
Yes.
now, but there were many ranching families that lived and worked there, and the Paniolos, the Hawaiian cowboys that worked on that ranch as well, and
From the Kekealani family, Alapa'i.
members, yeah,
Lo,
the community
Lo.
of Pu'anahulu, or an area that we call Napu'u.
Ai, nā pu'u
Many of
pualu.
the people in that community, were the families that worked the ranch. But there was one Paniolo there who we were so fortunate to spend a lot of time with him, and he took the time to take us around the lands and to teach us about the lands and the old Hawaiian trails and
So,
the
yeah.
names of the trails and the different places and places that don't look the same as they did, but his memory was so keen and sharp that he remembered everything very clearly. And
The Pikohene Trail
yes,
that
yeah,
went from
Mhm.
Pu'uwawa'a,
to the Alanui Ku'i
Alanui
Trail,
Ku'i at
and
Ku'ainiho, down to
yeah.
Kuako.
Kukui Akau Trail. There's
Yeah.
so many different trails, but this Paniolo, this cowboy, was actually a Japanese cowboy. Miki Kato, we called him Uncle Mickey. But yet he could speak the Hawaiian language. He grew up with the Hawaiians, Kealakua and Ka'avaloa, and worked for the ranch for many years.
Down in
But he would call us on occasion, and he said, "All right, bring your saddle. We're going to do the
long.
Hololoa, the Hololoa.
Hololoa,
The
long ride.
And you know that was going to be an all-day ride. But it was so wonderful. You know, he would point out the different hills, the different pu'u, take us to places that very, you know, that many people didn't know about. I think one of the most fragrant maile and maile lauli'i, very small leaf. Maile, the maile vine, the maile plant, which grew in this small patch, a small section that, you know, all of these things, just treasured memories. And we just recently lost Uncle Mickey, and we aloha him and his family. And so,
Auntie
you know,
Ellen,
one of the songs that he and the family and Auntie Ellen love is a song called Pu'uanahulu. And so
the children, Arlene and Glenn.
yes, and we want to dedicate this song to them and to the memory of
Uncle Mickey Kato and his ohana. Auntie Ellen, Arlene, and Glenn.
Nani vole pu'uanahulu I ka iu ai na pali kaulana pu'ukini.
Those multitude of hills.
Nani vole
So beautiful is Pu'uanahulu.
pu'uanahulu
Lofty heights.
ai na pali kaulana
Famous
pu'ukini.
for the cliffs and multitude of hills.
Luia mai, ko aloha.
Where the love is given so
E
freely.
na manu, o mele
And the beautiful manu'o, black in color with golden underwing feathers.
Luia mai, ko aloha. E na manu, o mele mele. E na manu, o mele mele. Ua helu ia na pu'uanahulu. Kapa ia kainoa o pu'uanahulu. Ua helu ia na pu'uanahulu. Kapa ia kainoa pu'uanahulu. Kapa ia kainoa pu'uanahulu. Luia mai, ko aloha. E na manu, o mele mele. Luia mai, ko aloha. E na manu, o mele mele. E na manu, o mele mele. Naka metera nani o ke akua. Kapa kainoa, kalamaku I ke ola. Naka metera nani o ke akua. Kapa kainoa, kalamaku I ke ola. Kapa kainoa, kalamaku I ke ola. Luia mai, ko aloha. E na manu, o mele mele. Aloha, Uncle Mickey, and mahalo.
Aloha no.
Mahalo nui loa.
You know, something interesting that just came to mind. You know, we've known Pu'uanahulu as Pu'uanahulu and often referred more ancient in earlier times as Napu'u. But recently, we also learned that the more complete name for that term that we call Napu'u was Napu'u Pualu Kinikini,
Yes.
in reference to that multitude of hills that are geographically present there in those lands.
And isn't it wonderful that the families there, like the Kekealani
Oh,
family,
yes, Ku'ule and Didi, that
their dad, Sonny, you know,
and
all
grandfather
keeping these
Robert.
stories and the names alive.
Yes.
So important to keep the names alive and to keep the mana in the names
Well,
alive.
not only that, the mana, the spiritual energy and strength of that place, but the storied lands that are perpetuated in the names, because as you translate those names, they tell the story of that place. And even some of those names of Manu Kapalulu, and that on the south side of that ridge of Pu'uloa, and all those many beautiful names, Kukui Ohakau,
Yes.
Kukui Ahakau. Yeah. But I
So
see
many different names there, and it's good that we keep these names and these stories alive. And so thank you to the Kekealani family and all the
Aye.
families there that keep the legacy of that storied land going.
these magical storied
Yeah.
lands.
And people like Kepa, you know, and Onauna,
And Unauna
who
Mali.
have, you know, oral histories and have, you know, sat down with the elders, with the kupuna, and recorded their stories, the songs, the chants, the music. I mean, just treasures, you know. They're our go-to people when we need knowledge and information. We cannot thank them enough for all the knowledge that they generously share for us. Well, I know the sun has gone down. It's getting a little darker now. And eventually we might be lost in the
Yes,
darkness.
we may be
But, you know,
vanishing into the twilight
yes,
zone.
into the twilight time. And talking about twilight, you know, for the past few months, we've been doing these virtual
Talk stories.
talk stories, you know, to share with a wide audience out there. In these challenging pandemic times, we just want to, you know, keep everyone safe, everyone healthy. You know, our gatherings would be very big gatherings here at the Eva Parker Woods Cottage. And it would be such a magical evening of talk story, music, and hula, and so many things. But, you know, until things get better, we're going to continue this. And in that way, we can continue our legacy that we started 23 years ago, as we had twilight on the Saturday nights closest to the full moon. And this month, you know, is the 28th. And so we're doing this to share this with all of you out there in the audience.
To our global ohana.
To our global ohana.
Yeah.
And to be able to share our aloha to all of you, as well as the stories and the music and hula of Hawaii as well. So we're so happy now that our hotel, the Mauna Lani Auberge Hotel, is reopened. It's so nice to see guests, and the hotel is really taking big strides to make sure that these protocols are in place, safety protocols. And our mahalo to San Jiv and to our ownership.
DHL Mahi with
Yes,
Greg and
you
Pat.
know,
Yeah.
and for the aloha that they put to keep our legacy alive. You know, we have a living cultural department, and you know, just many activities that when one stays here, they can
Refresh and renew
become
their
a part
energies
of
and enjoy.
learn about Hawaii, and yeah. So we're
So-
so happy that have reopened again. And look forward to seeing all of you joining us here at the Mauna, Lani.
And as we see the sun setting and the moon and the stars rising in the sky, and you see that full moon wherever you may be in the world, we send our aloha to you during this beautiful time of Thanksgiving and holidays as we celebrate the many blessings that have been bestowed upon us by our family and friends. And we send our aloha out to all of you. And as we stay safe.
Yes, but as we always closed our twilights, we always closed with a song. And this song speaks of the beauty and the majesty of this island of Hawaii, and it's called Hawaii Aloha, a song composed by Reverend Lorenzo Lyons, or Layana. So wherever you are, join in with us, and maybe not hand in hand, but just keep a little space between your hands and the next person, and just leave that space open for one of the kupunas of the past to get right
to be
in the
present
center,
there
to
with
be
you
present there.
and
So
to bless you.
That space for them. Hawaii Aloha. He Hawaii e ku'une hanaue.
Lani e Hawaii aloha e haoli e na opi o Hawaii nei oli mai na mai nei mau ke aloha no Hawaii e haoli e na opi o Hawaii nei oli mai na e pa mai nei mau ke aloha no Hawaii mau ke aloha no Hawaii. Aloha ke akua. God bless you one and all. Have a happy Thanksgiving and holiday season, and be safe and be healthy. Malama ke kino.
From all of us to all of you, aloha, ahui ho.
Ai ahui ho.
Malama ke kino. Aloha.
Aloha.